Hello, my name is Thomas, and this is my assignment for week 6 in music production for Coursera. I have chosen to explain the 5 main concepts of a synthesizer: oscillators, filters, envelopes, amplifier, and LFO. I am going to use region subtractor during this presentation. This synthesizer contains way more parameters that I could introduce in such a short time, so I will focus only on the main ones. The oscillator is the main sound generator in a synthesizer. All the other features are simply there to shape the sound of the oscillator. The most important parameter of the oscillator is the waveform. We've got sawtooth, we have rectangular, we have triangular, and finally sine. Next, we have to set up the frequency of the oscillator. We can change the frequency in octave steps. We can change it in semitone steps. And we can change it in cents, which is 1/100th of a semitone. Next, move on to filters. Filter is the most important tool for shaping the overall timbre of the sound. There are two filters in Subtractor, the multipass filter and there is an extra low-pass filter. I'm not going to talk about the low-pass filter, only about the multipass filter. There are two low-pass filters in the multipass filter, the LP24 and LP12. There is a bandpass filter, BP12. There is a high-pass filter, HP12, and there is a notch filter. Notch filter is an invert of a band filter. The number 12 and 24 refers to the slope of the filter expressed in the amount of decibel change per octave after the cutoff frequency. Let's see what LP24 does. It lets through the low frequencies. Now try HP12. That lets through only the higher frequencies. We have two sliders for the frequency, the frequency spectrum slider and the resonance slider. The frequency slider defines the overall frequency spectrum available for the filter. If we play with the slider, we can hear as the upper frequencies are removed as I move the slider down. Let's hear. Increasing the resonance will emphasize the frequency around the set filter frequency. For low and high pass filters, for the bandpass and notch filters, the resonance will adjust the width of the filter. Let's see what the resonance do with the low pass filter. As you could hear, it emphasized the frequencies around the cutoff frequency and introduced this ring sound. Envelopes. Envelopes in general are used to control several important sound parameters in analog synthesizers such as pitch, volume, filter frequency, etc. Standard synthesizer envelope generators have 4 parameters: attack, decay, sustain, and release. When you play a note on the keyboard, the envelope is triggered. This means it starts rising from 0 to the maximum value. How long this should take depends on the attack settings. After the maximum value has been reached, the value starts to drop. How long this should take is governed by the decay parameter. The sustain parameter determines the level of the envelope should rest at after the decay. If you set sustain to full level, the decay in the setting is of no importance as the volume of the sound is never lowered. Release works like the decay parameter, except it determines the time it takes for the value to fall back to 0 after releasing the key. I'm going to talk about the amplifier, and I'm going to demonstrate how the envelope is used to control the amplifier. Let's change the attack value to a higher value. Let's change the release value to a higher value as well. Let's see what we hear. You could hear it takes longer to reach the maximum value, and then it takes longer for a note to go out to 0 level. Let's move the settings back and let's see what it was originally. Now, let's move to the final item, LFO, aka low frequency oscillator. They also generate waveforms. You can see it here. They also generate waveforms, but the output of it is not generally heard. Instead, they are used for modulating various parameters. There are very similar parameters to the oscillator. Several waveforms are available: triangle, sawtooth, reverted sawtooth, rectangular, and the destination of the LFO can also be set, for example, to control the oscillator frequency values. As the settings show it now. With the rate, you can change the frequency of the LFO, and with amount, you can change the amplitude of the LFO. Let's pump up the rate a little bit, also the amount, see what we have. Let's pump up the rate a little bit more, and the amount as well. You can hear what difference it makes. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope you found it useful. Goodbye.